My name is Victoria. I'm 58 years old, and I never thought my heart could break into so many pieces in such a public way. Standing there at my grandson's baby shower, hearing my daughter Amanda say those words about her mother in law, Diana, words that cut through me like a knife. This is the woman I wish had raised me. She will be the one and only true grandmother to my child. No one even noticed when I slipped out, my vision blurred with tears. Before I share what I did next, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like button if you've ever felt betrayed by someone you loved with your whole heart. Being a single mother was never my plan, but life has its own agenda sometimes, doesn't it? When Amanda's father walked out on us, she was just 4 years old. I still remember her little face confused and tear-stained, asking when Daddy was coming home. I had to tell her he wasn't. I didn't have the luxury of falling apart even though my heart was shattered. There was a little girl depending on me now and only me. Those early years were a blur of exhaustion. I worked 2 jobs, administrative assistant during the day and waitressing on weekends. My mother would watch Amanda when she could, but she had her own health problems. Many nights I'd put Amanda to bed and then stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning studying. I was determined to get my accounting degree. We needed the stability and better income it would bring. "Why can't you come to my school play?" Amanda asked, once her bottom lip trembling. She was 7, then cast as a tree in her class production. "Sweetheart, I have to work," I explained, kneeling down to her level. "But I promise I'll be at the next one." There were so many moments like that. Promises kept and broken, always juggling, always choosing between being physically present and providing what we needed to survive. I missed recitals to work overtime. I skipped parent-teacher conferences to take night classes. But I never missed tucking her in when I was home, never forgot to leave little notes in her lunchbox, never stopped telling her she was my entire world. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. There was Richard when Amanda was 10, a kind, stable man who loved us both. He proposed after 2 years together. I said no. Amanda was entering her difficult preteen years, and I couldn't divide my attention further. She needed me too much. Perhaps that was my mistake, putting her so completely at the center of my universe. But what choice did I have? She only had me. Amanda was bright, beautiful, and complicated. Even as a child, she had champagne taste on our tap water budget. She'd come home from friends' houses with stories about their swimming pools, their game rooms, their vacations to Disney World. I saw the longing in her eyes, the comparisons already forming. "Why can't we live in a big house like Jessica's family?" she'd ask. "We have a perfect little home right here." I'd say, trying to make our small rental sound special. "And we have each other." As she grew into her teens, the questions became more pointed, the comparisons more frequent. Our relationship grew strained around the edges. She was embarrassed by our secondhand car, our modest Christmas celebrations, the fact that I still wore clothes I'd had since before she was born. "God, Mom, can't you at least try to look more professional?" 16-year-old Amanda said once, eyeing my outfit before her debate competition. "The other moms all wear nice suits and have their hair done." Those words stung, but I understood. Teenagers want to fit in. They want their parents to fit in too. I didn't take it personally, at least not too much. I just worked harder, saved more, tried to give her what I could. When Amanda was accepted to university, I was bursting with pride. She was the first in our family to go to college. I had saved some, but not nearly enough. I took out loans in my name, drained my small 401k, picked up consulting work on the side. Her education was worth every sacrifice. It was during her junior year that she met Marcus. She called me, bubbling with excitement after their third date. "Mom, he's perfect. He's studying pre-law. His family has this amazing house on Lake Michigan, and they invited me for Thanksgiving." I was happy for her, truly, but there was a small voice inside me whispering caution. Amanda had always wanted more than what we had. In Marcus and his family, it seemed she'd found it. The first time I met Diana, Marcus's mother, was at a restaurant where Marcus insisted on paying. Diana arrived 15 minutes late, immaculately dressed in what I later learned was a Chanel suit, her silver-streaked dark hair swept into an elegant updo. "Victoria, such a pleasure," she said, air-kissing both my cheeks. "Amanda is absolutely delightful. You must be so proud." "I am," I said simply, suddenly aware of my department store dress and scuffed shoes. Throughout dinner, Diana dominated the conversation with stories of charity galas, board meetings, and Marcus's childhood achievements. She was everything I wasn't: polished, connected, wealthy. She had been able to stay home with Marcus and his sister, volunteer at their private school, chaperone every field trip. She had been present in all the ways I couldn't be for Amanda. I watched my daughter throughout the meal. She hung on Diana's every word, laughing at her jokes, asking eager questions about the family's summer home in Cape Cod. There was a light in Amanda's eyes I hadn't seen before, or perhaps hadn't seen directed at me in a very long time. As we parted that night, Diana hugged Amanda warmly. "You must come shopping with me soon, dear. I know all the best boutiques in Chicago." Amanda beamed. "I'd love that." Driving home together, Amanda couldn't stop talking about Diana. "Isn't she amazing, Mom? So sophisticated and smart. She runs 3 different charity boards." "She seems lovely," I said, ignoring the knot forming in my stomach. "And Marcus is a wonderful young man." What I didn't say was how out of place I had felt, how I had noticed Diana subtly assessing me throughout dinner, how I worried what Amanda had told them about our life together. Had she been embarrassed by our story, by me? I didn't need to wonder for long. The changes were subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Amanda's calls became less frequent. Our Sunday night phone chats, a tradition since she left for college, became shorter, often rescheduled, sometimes forgotten entirely. "Sorry, Mom, Diana took me to the symphony last night and we got back so late," she'd explain. Or, "I meant to call, but we were at the lake house all weekend and the reception is terrible." I told myself not to be jealous. It was natural for Amanda to be drawn into Marcus's world, to want to experience things I could never provide. I tried to be happy for her, even as I felt her slipping away. 3 months after meeting Diana, Amanda called to tell me she was bringing Marcus home for a weekend. I was thrilled. I cleaned our apartment until it gleamed, prepared Marcus's favorite foods, according to Amanda, and even bought new sheets for my bed so they could have my room while I took the sofa. "It's cozy," Marcus said when they arrived, looking around our small living room with barely disguised disappointment. Amanda jumped in quickly. "I told you it was small, babe, but it was fine growing up, right, Mom?" "Fine. Our home, our life together reduced to fine." I swallowed my hurt and smiled. That weekend was a study in awkwardness. Marcus was polite but distant, checking his phone constantly. Amanda seemed embarrassed by everything: the neighbors, the dated bathroom fixtures, the fact that I didn't have wine glasses, only regular tumblers. They left a day early. "Marcus has a study group," Amanda explained, not quite meeting my eyes. After that, Amanda started coming home less. There was always a reason: study sessions, internship opportunities, social events with Marcus's family. When she did visit, she brought stories of the life she was now adjacent to. "Diana took me to New York last weekend for a girls' trip," she gushed during one visit. "We had brunch at Tiffany's and saw 2 Broadway shows." "That sounds wonderful, honey," I said, ignoring the fact that she hadn't even told me about the trip beforehand. "Diana says I have an excellent eye for fashion. She thinks I could work in her friend's gallery after graduation." Diana says, Diana thinks, Diana. I tried to connect with her mother-in-law to be, sending a friendly email suggesting we have lunch sometime, just the 2 of us. Her response was cordial but vague. "That would be lovely sometime. Things are so hectic right now with the foundation gala approaching." That sometime never materialized. The engagement came as no surprise. Marcus proposed at his family's lake house with a ring that cost more than my annual salary. Amanda called me ecstatic, but her first words weren't about the proposal itself. Diana helped him choose the ring. Isn't it perfect? The wedding planning began immediately with Diana taking the lead. When I asked about my role, Amanda patted my hand. "Don't worry about anything, Mom. Diana has a wedding planner on retainer. They're handling everything." I was being managed, sidelined in my own daughter's wedding. When I offered to contribute financially, a stretch that would mean delaying my retirement by years, Amanda seemed surprised. "Oh, that's sweet, Mom, but Marcus's parents insist on paying. It's tradition in their family." I insisted on contributing something. Eventually, we agreed I would pay for the rehearsal dinner, a small family affair that somehow expanded to 60 people at an upscale restaurant. I emptied my emergency fund to cover it. At the wedding, I wore a blue dress I had splurged on, wanting to look my best. Diana arrived in custom-designed couture flanked by a personal stylist who made adjustments to her ensemble throughout the day. "Victoria, you look so comfortable," she said when we greeted each other. The slight pause before comfortable spoke volumes. The mother-daughter dance at the reception was a tradition I had looked forward to for years. But when the DJ announced it, Amanda danced with Diana first, then me. A small thing perhaps, but it felt monumental. The guests barely watched our dance, having already seen the main event with Diana. Later, Diana gave a speech so moving about welcoming Amanda to the family that many guests wiped away tears. When my turn came, I spoke from my heart about raising Amanda, our struggles and triumphs, my pride in the woman she had become. Amanda looked uncomfortable, shifting in her seat, not meeting my eyes. Afterward, I overheard her telling a bridesmaid, "Mom always has to bring up the hard times. It's so depressing." I drove home alone that night, my heart heavy with the realization that my daughter was embarrassed by our life together, by me, by everything I had given up to raise her. After the wedding, the distance between Amanda and me grew into a chasm. Weeks would pass without a call. When we did speak, she had endless stories about Diana, her wisdom, her connections, her generosity. Diana introduced me to the director of the Art Institute, or Diana's taking me to her personal shopper next week. I sent small gifts. A handmade scarf, cookies from the bakery she loved as a child, a framed photo of us from her graduation. Her thank you texts were perfunctory, often delayed. I learned about her life through social media posts, dinners at exclusive restaurants, weekends at the lake house, a surprise trip to Paris that Diana and Marcus's father arranged for the newlyweds. I kept trying. I suggested lunches that were rescheduled, then canceled. I proposed movie nights like we used to have, only to be told she and Diana had tickets to the theater that evening. Each rejection stung, but I persisted. She was my daughter, my only child. I couldn't give up. Then came the news that changed everything. Amanda was pregnant. She called me, genuinely excited to share this news. For a moment, we connected like we used to, talking about her symptoms, her hopes, her fears. "I'm so happy for you, sweetheart," I said, tears in my eyes. "I can't wait to be a grandmother." There was a slight pause. "About that," Amanda said, her voice shifting, "Diana's planning the baby shower. She has this vision for it at the country club." "That sounds lovely," I said carefully. "I'd love to help with the planning." "Oh, she's got it all handled. Her event planner is involved. It's going to be amazing." Of course it was. Of course Diana had taken over, just as she had with the wedding. "I'd still like to be involved," I pressed gently. "I am the baby's grandmother too." "Of course you are, Mom," Amanda said, but her tone was dismissive. "I'll have Diana's assistant add you to the email list." I never received any emails about the planning. When I called to ask about it, Amanda seemed annoyed. "Mom, it's really not a big deal. The shower is mostly for Marcus's family friends anyway. You probably wouldn't know anyone there." I felt invisible, erased from my own daughter's life, from my future grandchild's life. When I found out they were decorating the nursery, I offered to come help. I could paint or put furniture together, whatever you need. "Diana's hired a designer," Amanda replied. "They're doing a whole safari theme. It's going to be featured in a home magazine." I swallowed my hurt. "Well, I've started knitting a baby blanket. It's a pattern my grandmother made for you." "That's sweet, Mom, but the designer has already ordered custom bedding from France. Everything has to match the theme." I made the blanket anyway, pouring my love into every stitch, hoping Amanda would treasure this connection to her own childhood, to our family history. When I gave it to her, she thanked me politely but set it aside quickly. A week later, I saw an Instagram post of Diana presenting Amanda with a cashmere baby blanket from some exclusive boutique. Amanda's caption, "The most beautiful baby blanket from the most amazing grandmother-to-be, blessed lucky baby." There was no mention of my handmade blanket, no post, no acknowledgement. Still, I held on to hope. Babies have a way of bringing families together. Perhaps when the little one arrived, things would change. Perhaps Amanda would need me then, my experience, my support, my love. I focused on that hope as I prepared for the baby shower, buying a special dress, splurging on professional hairstyling, wanting to look my best for the event. I purchased a vintage silver rattle as my gift, one that reminded me of a beloved toy Amanda had as a baby. The morning of the shower, I gave myself a pep talk in the mirror. "This isn't about you," I told my reflection. This is about Amanda and the baby. Just be supportive, be present, be happy for her. I had no idea how difficult that would prove to be. The country club ballroom was transformed into a woodland wonderland. Fresh flowers cascaded from ceiling to floor, delicate fairy lights twinkled among greenery, and hand-painted woodland creatures adorned each table. A string quartet played softly in the corner. The entire scene looked like something from a magazine spread, which it probably would be knowing Diana. I arrived 15 minutes early, clutching my carefully wrapped gift. A young woman with a clipboard greeted me at the entrance. Name, please. Victoria Bennett. I'm Amanda's mother. She scanned her list, frowning slightly. Oh, yes, here you are. At table 7. Table 7 turned out to be in the far corner of the room behind a large floral arrangement that partially obscured my view of the main table where Amanda would sit. I was seated with distant cousins of Marcus and a few work colleagues of Diana, none of whom seemed to know who I was. And how do you know Amanda and Marcus? One woman asked politely. I'm Amanda's mother, I replied. Her eyebrows rose in surprise. Oh, I assumed you were seated at the family table. How lovely that you could come. I smiled tightly and said nothing. Diana made her entrance shortly after, resplendent in a designer dress that probably cost more than 3 months of my mortgage payments. She moved through the room like royalty, stopping at each table, greeting guests by name, remembering details about their lives, their children, their recent vacations. When she reached my table, she offered a practiced smile. Victoria, so glad you could make it. Don't you look nice? Before I could respond, she was summoned away by the event planner. Excuse me, the caterer needs a decision about the champagne. Amanda arrived 30 minutes later to a chorus of oohs and ahs. She was radiant in a pale blue maternity dress, her baby bump pronounced at 6 months. I stood wanting to go to her to hug my daughter, but she was immediately surrounded by Diana's friends, then escorted to the head table, where Diana sat beside her. The chair on Amanda's other side remained empty until Marcus arrived later. There was no place for me at that table. No acknowledgement that I might want to sit near my own daughter. The event proceeded with military precision. Games were played, elegant food was served, champagne for the non-pregnant guests flowed freely. I participated as best I could, smiling until my face hurt, making small talk with strangers who clearly wondered why Amanda's mother was relegated to the back of the room. Then came time for gifts. Amanda sat in an ornate chair at the front, Diana beside her, to record each gift and giver in a leather-bound book. I waited my turn, watching as Amanda unwrapped extravagant present after extravagant present. A silver baby brush set, cashmere onesies, a designer diaper bag. When I approached with my gift, Diana barely looked up from her list. Amanda smiled at me, but it didn't reach her eyes. She unwrapped the vintage silver rattle carefully. Oh, how traditional, she said. There was no recognition in her eyes, no memory of the similar rattle she had loved as a baby. It reminded me of your favorite toy, I said softly. The one with the little bear on the handle that you carried everywhere until you were 2. I don't remember that, Amanda said, already reaching for the next gift. Diana wrote something in her book and set my gift aside, separate from the pile of others. I returned to my seat, fighting back tears. The room suddenly felt too warm, too crowded, too filled with evidence of how little I belonged in my daughter's new life. After gifts, there was a lull as dessert was being prepared. Diana stood tapping her crystal water glass with a silver spoon. The room quieted immediately. I'd like to propose a toast, she announced, her voice carrying effortlessly, to Amanda and Marcus and to the precious new life they're bringing into our family. As many of you know, Amanda has become like a daughter to me these past few years. I saw Amanda beaming up at her, nodding in agreement. And now, Diana continued, I have the incredible privilege of becoming a grandmother to their child. I cannot express how full my heart is today. She turned to Amanda, raising her glass higher. To new beginnings and the continuation of our family legacy. The room erupted in applause. I clapped mechanically, feeling numb. Then Amanda stood somewhat awkwardly with her pregnant belly and took the crystal glass Diana handed her, filled with sparkling water. I want to say something too, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Today isn't just about celebrating this baby, it's about celebrating family and what family really means. My heart lifted momentarily. Perhaps she would acknowledge me now, include me in this moment. Amanda turned to Diana, her eyes shining with tears. I want to thank the woman who has shown me what it truly means to be supported, cherished, and guided with grace. She took Diana's hand in hers. This is the woman I wish had raised me. She will be the one and only true grandmother to my child. The room went silent. I felt every eye flicker toward me, then quickly away. Pity, embarrassment, discomfort. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. The words echoed in my head, each one a physical blow. The woman I wish had raised me. The one and only true grandmother. In that moment, I was erased. My 26 years of motherhood, the sleepless nights, the work-worn hands, the sacrificed dreams, the boundless love, all of it negated in a single sentence. I don't remember standing. Don't remember gathering my purse. I only know that I had to get away before I shattered completely in front of this room full of strangers. No one called after me. No one followed. I slipped out unnoticed, invisible to the end. The drive home passed in a blur. I parked in front of my small house, the house I had kept because it was filled with memories of raising Amanda even after I could have downsized, and sat in the car unable to move. Finally, when my tears had subsided enough to see, I went inside, kicked off my shoes, and collapsed on the sofa. The silence of the empty house pressed in around me, a tangible reminder of how alone I truly was. The initial shock gave way to waves of grief that crashed over me with physical force. I curled into myself on the sofa, wrapping my arms around my middle as if I could hold the broken pieces together. The pain was primal, a keening that started deep in my chest and worked its way up my throat. Hours passed. Night fell. I remained motionless, replaying Amanda's words over and over. Had I really failed her so completely? Had my sacrifices meant nothing? Was Diana truly the mother she had always wanted? Around midnight, exhaustion overtook the pain and I dragged myself to bed. Sleep eluded me as memories flooded back unbidden and relentless. Amanda, at age 3, her small hand in mine as we walked to the park, singing made-up songs about butterflies and clouds. Amanda, at 7, burning with fever as I sat beside her bed for 3 straight nights, cooling her forehead with damp cloths, reading her favorite stories until my voice gave out. Amanda, at 12, sobbing after her first heartbreak, curled against me as I stroked her hair and promised the pain would eventually pass. Amanda, at 16, rolling her eyes as I taught her to drive in our old car, both of us laughing when she finally mastered parallel parking. Amanda, at 18, her face shining with pride as she opened her college acceptance letter, throwing her arms around me as we jumped up and down in the kitchen. Amanda, at 22, radiant in her cap and gown, hugging me fiercely as she whispered, "I did it, Mom. We did it." Every milestone, every triumph, every struggle. We had weathered them together, or so I had thought. As dawn broke, I rose from my restless bed and moved through the house like a ghost. In the spare room I used as a home office, I opened the closet where I kept Amanda's childhood mementos. Boxes labeled by year, carefully preserved pieces of her life, our life together. I pulled them out one by one. Photo albums, school projects, report cards with my proud signatures. Birthday cards she had made for me decorated with glitter and childish handwriting. "To the best mom ever, I love you to the moon and stars." Her first pair of ballet shoes. The acceptance letter to college now framed. Medical records documenting every illness, every vaccination, every time I had advocated for her health and well-being. Financial records too, tuition payments. The second mortgage I had taken out to fund her education, credit card statements, showing birthday gifts and Christmas presents purchased when money was tight. The loan documents still bearing my signature loans I was still paying off so she could graduate debt-free. I spread these artifacts of our life across the floor, a timeline of love and sacrifice. And then I began to sort them, choosing items that told our story. The real story, not the sanitized version Amanda had apparently shared with Marcus and Diana. Into a large shipping box went selected photographs Amanda sick with chickenpox as I held her, the two of us camping in our backyard when we couldn't afford a real vacation. Her high school graduation with me standing proudly beside her, both of us looking exhausted because I had worked a double shift the day before to afford her graduation dinner. I added financial documents, college tuition receipts, loan statements with my signature medical bills from when she broke her arm and had no insurance. The second mortgage paperwork for our house, the loan I took out to pay for her first year of college. I found the journal I kept during her childhood. Not a fancy leather-bound volume like Diana might have, but a simple notebook where I had recorded Amanda's first steps, first words, funny sayings, hopes and dreams. I added the small velvet box containing my mother's simple pearl earrings, the only heirloom I had to pass down which I had planned to give Amanda when her baby was born. Lastly, I sat at my desk and wrote a letter. Not an angry letter, not a letter designed to induce guilt, just the truth, written with the same love that had guided every decision I had ever made as a mother. Dear Amanda, I want to start by saying, I love you. I have loved you from the moment I knew you existed, and I will love you until my last breath. Nothing can change that. Not distance, not time, not even the words you spoke yesterday. I'm writing because I need you to know our story, the real story of us. When your father left, he didn't just leave me, he left you too. He chose to start a new life that didn't include being your father. I chose to be both mother and father to you. Every day, I chose you. I chose you when I worked 2 jobs and went to school at night, existing on 4 hours of sleep so I could provide you with a stable home and opportunities I never had. I chose you when I turned down a promotion that would have required travel because it meant too much time away from you. I chose you when I said no to Richard's proposal because you were entering your difficult teen years and needed my undivided attention. I chose you when I took out loans in my name that I'm still paying off so you could graduate without debt. Every decision I made with you in mind. Were they all perfect decisions? No. I made mistakes. I missed events I should have been at. I worked when perhaps I should have been home. I didn't have the means to give you material things that other mothers could provide. But please know this, if I could have worked less and been with you more, I would have. If I could have afforded dance lessons and summer camps and family vacations, I would have given you all of that and more. I did the best I could with what I had, and what I had I gave to you freely. I understand the appeal of Diana and her world. She is elegant and accomplished with resources I never had. She can offer you experiences and connections I couldn't provide. I don't begrudge you a relationship with her. In fact, I'm grateful you have another woman who cares for you. But when you said she was the mother you wish had raised you, when you declared her the only true grandmother to your child, you didn't just hurt me, you erased me. You erased us and everything we weathered together. I'm not writing to make you feel guilty. I'm writing because I want you to have the full picture before you decide who I am in your life and your child's life going forward. I will respect whatever decision you make. If you truly wish for Diana to be your child's only grandmother, I will step back. It will break my heart, but I will honor your choice. I have always wanted your happiness above all else. Just know that whatever you decide, you were loved. Completely, imperfectly, exhaustedly, joyfully loved by a mother who gave you everything she had to give. With all my love still and always, Mom. I sealed the letter and added it to the box. Then I addressed the package for overnight delivery and drove to the shipping center, arriving just as it opened. The clerk raised her eyebrows at the tear tracks on my face, but asked no questions as she processed the shipment. This will arrive tomorrow morning, she confirmed, handing me the receipt. I nodded, unable to speak around the lump in my throat. Back home, I sat in my quiet kitchen drinking cold coffee and considering what came next. My phone showed multiple missed calls from the baby shower, friends checking on me, I assumed. I couldn't bear to listen to their pity, their awkward attempts at comfort. I turned the phone off. The house suddenly felt like a museum of what once was but would never be again. Every corner held memories that now felt like a knife twist. I couldn't stay here, not tonight, maybe not for a while. I packed a small bag, clothes, toiletries, my laptop. I called my neighbor to ask if she would collect my mail and water my plants. Then I booked a cabin at the lake resort 2 hours north, the place where Amanda and I had spent a rare vacation when she was 10. It had been our one extravagance saved for over 3 years. 3 perfect days of swimming, hiking, roasting marshmallows by the fire. As I drove north away from the city, away from the remnants of my broken heart, I felt something unexpected beneath the grief. A fragile sense of liberation. For 26 years, every decision had been filtered through the lens of motherhood. What would be best for Amanda? What did Amanda need? How could I make Amanda's life better, easier, fuller? Now, for the first time, I asked myself, what do I need? What would heal my heart? What life do I want to build in this new reality where I am not defined primarily as Amanda's mother? I had no answers yet. But as the city faded in my rearview mirror and the landscape opened up before me, I felt the first tentative stirrings of possibility. The cabin was just as I remembered: rustic pine interior stone fireplace, small deck overlooking the lake. It smelled of wood smoke and pine needles, comforting and elemental. I unpacked my few belongings, made a simple dinner from provisions I'd bought at the local store, and sat on the deck watching the sunset paint the lake in shades of gold and pink. For the first time in days, I took a deep, full breath. The tight band around my chest loosened slightly. Here, surrounded by nature's indifference to human drama, my pain seemed both significant and insignificant at once. The trees didn't care that I had been rejected. The lake didn't judge my mothering. The stars would shine whether I was Amanda's mother or not. I kept my phone off that first day, unwilling to face whatever aftermath awaited me. Instead, I hiked the forest trails, collected smooth stones from the lakeshore, read a novel I'd been meaning to get to for months. Physical exhaustion brought dreamless sleep that night, a mercy I hadn't expected. On the second day, I turned my phone on briefly. 27 missed calls, 15 voicemails, 43 text messages. The numbers themselves were overwhelming. I turned the phone off again without listening or reading any of them. I wasn't ready, not yet. I needed this time to find my footing, to remember who Victoria was beyond being Amanda's mother. The days took on a simple rhythm. Mornings on the deck with coffee, watching the mist rise from the lake. Afternoons exploring the surrounding woods or reading in the shade. Evenings by the fire, thinking, remembering, sometimes crying, sometimes not. On the fourth day, I sat down with a notebook and began to write. Not to Amanda this time, but to myself. I wrote about the dreams I had deferred, the opportunities I had passed by the woman I might have become in another life. I wrote about regrets, yes, but also about pride in what I had accomplished despite the obstacles. I had raised a daughter alone. I had earned a degree while working full-time. I had built a career modest but respectable. I had maintained a home, kept us fed and clothed and safe. I had loved abundantly, even when that love wasn't returned in the measure I had hoped. These were not small things. By the end of the week, I felt steady enough to face whatever awaited me on my phone. I sat on the deck, took a deep breath, and powered it on. As the notifications flooded in, I steeled myself and began with the voicemails. The first was from Amanda, timestamped the evening of the shower, her voice tight with anger. "Mom, where did you go? Everyone noticed you left. It was so embarrassing. Call me back." The second from later that night. "Mom, seriously, what is wrong with you? Diana is upset. She thinks she offended you somehow. Call me back now." The third from the following morning. "Mom, I just got your package. I can't believe you would do this. This is emotional manipulation and it's not fair. Call me." The fourth from that afternoon, her voice now trembling. "Mom, I don't know what to say. I've been looking through everything. Please call me, please." The fifth, sixth, seventh. Increasingly desperate pleas for me to call, to come home, to talk to her. The eighth from Marcus. "Victoria, it's Marcus. Amanda is extremely upset. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. She needs to stay calm for the baby. Please contact us." The ninth, surprisingly, from Diana. "Victoria, this is Diana. I think we need to talk, woman to woman. Please call me when you get this message." The remaining messages were variations on these themes, with Amanda's growing, increasingly tearful and remorseful. The most recent from this morning. "Mom, it's been a week. I'm really worried. Nobody knows where you are. I've called all your friends. I even went by your house. Please, please call me back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I need you. Please come back." The texts followed a similar pattern, evolving from annoyance to concern to genuine remorse. Friends had checked in too, offering support, expressing worry about my sudden disappearance. I sat for a long time after listening to all the messages, watching the lake's surface ripple in the afternoon breeze. Part of me wanted to call Amanda immediately to assure her I was safe, to ease her distress. The maternal instinct to protect her from pain remained strong. But another part of me, the part I was just beginning to recognize as my own separate self, knew that rushing back at the first sign of her contrition would only reinforce the dynamic that had brought us here. I needed to complete this journey I had begun. Amanda needed time to truly reflect on her actions and words. I composed a brief text to her. I'm safe and well, taking some time for myself. We'll be in touch soon. Love, Mom. I sent similar messages to the friends who had reached out thanking them for their concern. To Diana and Marcus, I sent nothing. Those conversations would need to happen in person when I was fully ready. Then I extended my cabin rental for another week. This healing had only just begun. The second week brought more clarity. I sketched out plans for changes I wanted to make when I returned home. Perhaps it was time to sell the house filled with memories and find a smaller place that was truly mine. Maybe I would finally take that European vacation I had always dreamed about. I could join the photography club I'd been eyeing for years but never had time for. Small steps toward a life redesigned around my own needs and desires, not just Amanda's. As the second week drew to a close, I felt something settle within me. The hurt remained, but it no longer defined me completely. I had survived Amanda's father walking out. I had survived years of financial struggle. I had survived the gradual loss of my daughter to Diana's world. I would survive this too. On my last night at the cabin, I sat by the fire and wrote one final letter to Amanda, this one just for me, not to be sent. In it, I released the anger, the hurt, the sense of betrayal. I acknowledged my own role in our complicated relationship. I forgave her and I forgave myself. In the morning, I packed my car, took one last walk along the lakeshore, and began the drive home. Whatever awaited me there, I would face it as whole as I could be. Victoria first, Amanda's mother second. I was halfway home when my phone rang. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. I took a deep breath and answered. Mom. Her voice was small, tentative, tear-filled. You're coming home. Yes. I said simply, I'm coming home. Can I see you when you get back? I need to talk to you. Yes, I said again. We need to talk. I love you, Mom, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I love you too, Amanda. Always have, always will. We would have our reckoning, our reconciliation. But first, I needed to come home to myself. I arrived at my house in the early evening, the familiar street both comforting and strange after 2 weeks away. Before I could even pull my suitcase from the trunk, Amanda's car screeched to a halt behind mine. She practically tumbled out her pregnant belly, even more pronounced now, her face swollen from crying. She stopped a few feet away, uncertainty written across her features. Mom. I stood still, allowing her to come to me. She took hesitant steps forward, then suddenly rushed the remaining distance, wrapping her arms around me as best she could, with her belly between us. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She sobbed against my shoulder. I held her, stroking her hair as I had done countless times throughout her childhood. Let's go inside, I said gently. We have a lot to talk about. In the living room, Amanda perched awkwardly on the edge of the sofa, looking around as if seeing the house with new eyes. I made tea, a ritual that had always accompanied our serious conversations, and sat across from her in my reading chair. I got your package, she began, her voice small. I read your letter. I looked at everything. I nodded but said nothing, waiting. I didn't know, she continued, tears welling again. About the loans, the second mortgage, you never told me. You were young, I said. It wasn't your burden to carry. But it was your burden. All of it was your burden. She wiped at her eyes. And instead of being grateful, I was so awful to you. Why, Amanda, I need to understand. Was I really such a terrible mother that you wish someone else had raised you? She flinched at hearing her own words repeated back to her. No, God, no. You were a good mom. You were always there when it really mattered. Then why? She looked down at her hands, twisting in her lap. When I met Marcus, it was like entering this whole other world. Everything was so beautiful, so easy. Diana would talk about Marcus's childhood, the private schools, the summer camps, the family vacations to Europe. She was always there for every recital, every game. She never missed anything because of work. Amanda glanced up, your expression pleading for understanding. And I started thinking about all the things I missed out on, all the times you couldn't be there, all the stuff we couldn't afford. I tried my best. I said, my voice steady despite the pain her words caused. I know that now, I really do, but Diana, she made me feel special, chosen, like I was the daughter she always wanted. She showered me with attention, with gifts, with opportunities. And I got swept up in it all. In her fantasy of what motherhood should be, I said. The fantasy version that doesn't include working 2 gyms or worrying about paying the electric bill. Amanda nodded, shamefaced. She only showed me the glamorous parts, the fun parts. That's not motherhood, Amanda. That's being a fairy godmother. Real motherhood is showing up day after day, even when you're exhausted. It's making hard choices and sacrifices. It's loving your child enough to put their needs above your own again and again and again. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. The things you wrote in your letter. The loans you're still paying off, the promotion you turned down. I never knew any of that. I didn't tell you to make you feel guilty. I told you so you would know the truth of our story. When I said those things at the shower, Amanda's voice broke. I was trying to impress Diana to fit into their world. I wanted to belong there so badly. But as soon as the words came out, I knew they were wrong. I saw your face, Mom. I saw what I did to you. And then you were gone, and nobody even noticed at first. She covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. I've been so stupid, so shallow and ungrateful. I moved to the sofa and put my arm around her. You're not the first person to be dazzled by wealth and status, Amanda, or to want more than what you had growing up. But to hurt you like that in public. She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. Can you ever forgive me? I took her hands in mine. I already have. But forgiveness doesn't mean there aren't consequences or that things go back to exactly the way they were. We need to rebuild our relationship with honesty and mutual respect. She nodded earnestly. I want that. I want my mom back. These 2 weeks without you. I've been so scared. I needed that time, Miss, I explained. To remember who I am beyond being your mother. To figure out what I want for my life going forward. And what is that? She asked tentatively. I'm still working on the details. But I know I want a relationship with you that's balanced and healthy. I want to be a grandmother to your child. Not the only grandmother, but a real presence in their life. And I want to explore parts of myself I've put on hold for decades. All of that sounds good to me, Amanda said, especially the grandmother part, and a soft smile crossed her face as she placed a hand on her rounded belly. He's been kicking like crazy this week. I think he misses his grandma. I asked, my heart lifting. It's a boy. Amanda nodded. We found out last week. I wanted to tell you first, but I was unreachable. I finished for her. I'm sorry for worrying you. I just needed that space. Don't apologize. I deserved it after what I did. She hesitated, then added, Diana's been calling constantly. She wants to apologize too. I raised an eyebrow. Does she? She feels terrible, Mom. When I showed her your letter and all the documents, she had no idea. I think I might have exaggerated some things about our life. What kinds of things? I asked, curious now. Amanda looked embarrassed. I might have implied that you chose to work so much because you were career obsessed, that you were emotionally distant, that you didn't support my dreams. I felt a flash of anger, quickly suppressed. I see. I was trying to fit into their world, Amanda repeated. I thought if I had this tragic backstory of neglect, they'd embrace me more completely. That's quite a story you crafted, I said, unable to keep the hurt from my voice. I know, it was awful of me. And now Diana knows the truth. She wants to meet with you to apologize for overstepping. I considered this. I'm not ready for that conversation yet, but I will be eventually. Amanda nodded, accepting this boundary. Take all the time you need. She's not going anywhere. She paused, then asked hesitantly, will you come to my next doctor's appointment? It's an ultrasound. You'll be able to see the baby. I'd like that very much, I said. We talked for hours more, clearing the air, setting new expectations, rebuilding the foundation of our relationship, brick by careful brick. When Amanda finally left, promising to return the next day, I felt exhausted but hopeful. True healing would take time. Trust once broken doesn't mend overnight, but we had made a start. 3 days later, I agreed to meet Diana at a neutral location, a quiet cafe halfway between our homes. She arrived impeccably dressed as always, but her usual confidence seemed dimmed. Victoria, she said, extending her hand, thank you for agreeing to see me. Diana, I replied, shaking her hand briefly before sitting down. She ordered a cappuccino. I chose simple black coffee. The difference felt symbolic somehow. I owe you an apology, she began once our drinks arrived. I overstepped boundaries that should never have been crossed. I nodded, waiting for her to continue. When Amanda came into our lives, she was so eager to be part of our family, to adopt our ways. I was flattered. I've always wanted a daughter. Diana looked down at her perfectly manicured hands. My relationship with my own mother was complicated. I suppose I was trying to create with Amanda what I never had myself. At my expense, I pointed out. Yes, she acknowledged. I didn't see it that way at the time, but yes, I should have encouraged her relationship with you, not competed with it. And the shower, I asked. That toast. Diana had the grace to look genuinely ashamed. I was as shocked as you were. I never suggested or expected Amanda to say those things. But I didn't correct her either, and for that, I'm truly sorry. I studied her face, looking for insincerity, but finding none. Amanda tells me she misrepresented our relationship to you. Diana nodded. She painted quite a different picture than what I now understand to be the truth. But I should have questioned it, should have made more effort to know you directly. She hesitated, then added, I admire what you did raising her alone, making all those sacrifices. I'm not sure I could have done the same in your position. The admission surprised me. Thank you for saying that. Where do we go from here? Diana asked. For Amanda's sake and for the baby's, I hope we can find a way forward. I agree, I said. I have no interest in creating more drama. Amanda needs both of us, and this child deserves to know both his grandmothers. Yes, Diana said, relief evident in her voice. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. We talked for another hour, establishing boundaries, finding common ground. Diana was not the villain I had constructed in my mind, just as I was not the neglectful mother Amanda had described to her. We were two women who loved the same young woman who wanted the best for her and her child. As we parted, Diana surprised me again. Victoria, I hope this isn't presumptuous, but Marcus's father and I would like to establish a college fund for the baby. We'd be honored if you would be a co-trustee to ensure the money is used according to both our family values. The old me might have felt diminished by this financial gesture I couldn't match. The new me recognized it as an olive branch, an acknowledgement of my equal standing as a grandmother. I think that's an excellent idea, I said. Thank you. In the months that followed, Amanda and I continued to rebuild our relationship. She and Marcus came for dinner weekly. I attended her doctor's appointments. Diana and I established a cordial, if not warm, rapport, united in our support of Amanda and the impending arrival of her child. When Amanda went into labor 3 weeks early, I was the first person she called. I met her and Marcus at the hospital, where we were soon joined by Diana and Marcus's father. The labor was long and difficult. Amanda gripped my hand through contractions, looked to me for reassurance, called for me when fear threatened to overwhelm her. I stayed by her side for 26 hours, just as I had been by her side for 26 years. Diana stepped back gracefully, recognizing that in this moment of bringing new life into the world, Amanda needed her mother, her real mother, the woman who had given birth to her, who understood in her bones what Amanda was experiencing. When the baby finally arrived, red-faced and squalling, The doctor placed him in Amanda's arms. Through tears of exhaustion and joy, she looked up at me. "Mom, I'd like you to meet your grandson," she said. "Victor Bennett Harris." Victor, named after me, Victoria. "We wanted to honor you," Marcus explained, his own eyes damp with emotion. "For everything." I reached out a trembling finger to touch the baby's tiny hand. He grasped it immediately, his grip surprisingly strong for one so small. "Hello, Victor," I whispered. "I'm your grandma." Diana joined us then, peering down at the baby with genuine wonder. "He's perfect," she said. "Absolutely perfect." Amanda looked between us, her mother and her mother-in-law, and said something that healed the last cracked places in my heart. "He's so lucky," she said. "He has two amazing grandmothers who love him already. One who will teach him about art and travel and culture." She nodded to Diana. "And one who will teach him about courage and perseverance and unconditional love." She squeezed my hand. In that hospital room holding my newborn grandson surrounded by this blended, imperfect, healing family, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in years. Sometimes in life you have to lose something to realize its true value. My daughter had lost me for 2 weeks, and in that absence she had found the truth of who we were together. I had lost my identity as just Amanda's mother, and in that void discovered who Victoria could be on her own terms. Now we had found each other again, not as we were before, but as we could be going forward. Not perfect, but real. Not without boundaries, but with deeper understanding. Not in competition with Diana and her world, but as complementary influences in Amanda's life and Victor's future. As I held my grandson watching his tiny features shift in sleep, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. The pain, the revelations, the healing, the words that had broken my heart, and the actions that had begun to mend it. Sometimes the deepest wounds come from those we love most, and sometimes those very wounds create the space for something new and stronger to grow. Have you ever experienced a painful rejection from someone you love? How did you handle it? Were you able to rebuild that relationship, or did you have to create boundaries for your own well-being? Share your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this story resonated with you. Thank you for listening, and remember, true love sometimes means letting go just enough for both people to choose each other freely.